3, 2, 1, fire away.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to this episode of the Red Beard Podcast. Hope everybody's doing good. So, guys, we're going to talk about the Meg trailer today. It just dropped. It's based on a book by Steve Alton. It's about a megalodon shark. It looks freaking badass. So, trailer's out. We'll talk about our thoughts. Infinity War drops in 2 weeks. Thanos is about to drop his wrath on everybody. So, we're going to talk about what we're hoping to see in this first Infinity War movie. Also, A Quiet Place came out. It is crushing the box office right now. But you're right. I'm going to be quiet, and we'll talk about it later. And there was a pretty badass documentary on HBO about Andre the Giant. Guys, I don't think you have any idea how much liquor this guy can down in one sitting. So stick around to find out.
Beer Podcast is brought to you by these cool dudes.
And we're back.
What?
We were just in a quiet place.
Shh.
I hope the aliens don't get us.
Yo, man.
You saw A Quiet Place, man?
Dude, I saw A Quiet Place. I mean, nobody else here saw it. I'm gonna just say this right off the bat. Yeah. I'm not gonna give any spoilers because I don't want to ruin it for people. It's something that everybody should go out there and see. But me and my wife saw it, and dude, this movie was badass. Like, there is nothing like this out there right now.
Really?
It's a super original script. It was written, directed, and also acted by John Krasinski.
Oh, okay.
Who, obviously, if you guys don't know who that is, he was, in The Office. Jim from The Office, correct. And he was in the movie with 2 other kids. One of the kids is actually deaf in real life, which she played a deaf child in the movie, which was kind of interesting. And also his wife, Emily Blunt. So this movie was kick-ass, and I just...
Wait, you said his wife, Emily Blunt, like as in his wife, Emily Blunt, or
In
his
real
wife in the
life.
movie?
His wife, well, actually in real life and in the movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah, but it was just... they played super well off each other, obviously,
he
because
British?
they have great great chemistry. No, he isn't, but she is.
No, I know. It's weird that she would, like, date him.
Why?
I don't know. Like,
Because they have different accents?
don't they stick to their own kind? Like,
I don't know.
Wow.
That's racist.
No, I'm just saying, isn't it? Like, they brought that culture over to the United States, didn't they? Like, stick with your own kind, segregate, do all that shit. Like, that was, like, they brought that shit here. Like, I figured that's how it was over there.
I mean, it's not 1860, so, I mean, I think that's, changed.
Oh, you're right.
to an extent. It's
2018, but...
2018?
yeah, whatever.
Wow.
Well, regardless, Quiet Place, awesome, Jim. I know you want to say something.
With that said, if Nazis were replaced by these aliens, Anne Frank would still not have finished her diary.
Wow. So back to the actual concept of the movie. The movie was...
Am I wrong? Tell me I'm
No,
wrong.
you're
I
right.
mean, but
You're absolutely
Jesus
right.
Christ.
It's a true statement.
I will say this. The movie was fantastic. I recommend that everybody go see it. The interesting thing about this movie is when they say it's a quiet place, it is a quiet place in the theater.
I was gonna say,
Like-
is the theater like? And I meant no joke. Like, is it quiet because you're just attentive, or because it's a serene type of a movie?
So the movie is basically like, so these monsters in the movie, right?
Oh, I didn't even know what it's
think of
about.
them kind of like bats, right? They basically can't see anything, but they attack sound. So they don't really talk much in the movie. Everything is done via sign language.
Wow.
So when there is a sound made,
That's bold.
that's when these monsters can find your position and basically essentially kill you.
And the majority of the film is done in this way.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
when
heard
you're
the
sitting-
soundtrack was fire.
Yeah. So when you're sitting in the theater, you literally hear more people like eating their popcorn than actually surround sound what's
That's
going on the
great.
screen.
Completely juxtaposed to what Hollywood has been doing with the explosions and the
Yeah.
action and the sounds and the.
And I think that's why a lot of people are enjoying this, because you usually go to a theater to actually kind of get like that surround sound and that action and the explosions and really feel like that vibration in your chest.
Right.
But it's like this movie, it's like you're on the edge of your seat because it's so quiet and everybody's attention is held.
That is
and
fantastic.
it is so well done. And the CGI that they did have in the movie was actually, it wasn't overused, but it was good. You're actually really trying to figure out like what life would be like if you were in a similar situation, like things that you do on an everyday basis
That we take for granted.
that you take for granted, you wouldn't be able to do back then, or in this movie, right? Not back then, because it does take place in like a post-apocalyptic kind of world. Like,
Oh, okay.
something happened. These are, I guess, we're to believe that these are aliens that somehow got on our planet, or are a product of some kind of, chemical warfare.
Okay.
But they do attack sound, and this movie was just so damn good. I can't say enough about it. I don't really want to go into. There's really not much that I can go into without giving spoilers, and this is just one of those things that I don't want to give spoilers about, because everybody just needs to go see it.
Wow, you just
So,
sold me on that.
I'm telling you, man, it's worth the
Quiet Place,
$12 now, for a movie, and if you
Jeez.
have Movie Pass, it's free.
Do they
So-
massage your feet?
No, but if you go to the North Attleboro Theater, there's recliner seats, so you can kind of chill out in those seats, which is pretty badass.
I'm still gonna wait until it comes out on Redbox or on demand, because it's just gonna be too much for me to see in theaters.
But it's not. I
It
know
is.
you, bro.
You know how hard it is for me to sit through. I can't. I watch everything.
It's
through
not that type
with
of
my
movie,
hands.
man. I know what you get scared of. It's not like that. Even though the movie's quiet, it's not that type of tension. It's a different type of tension, I'm telling you, bro.
I don't know.
I
man.
watched
I'm
that
getting
movie.
Stressed out already.
I watched the movie, and when I got out of the theater, I even said to my wife, I was like, Jim could handle this.
My brother said I couldn't. My
Well,
brother
I don't
was
know.
like, no way.
Dude, you got through The Conjuring. All right, you're good.
Yeah, I got through The Conjuring because you were telling me, okay, it's gonna happen now.
Yeah, but honestly,
And I
dude,
still hid my eye.
it's not what you think, man. It's not that type of it's not jump scares like that. It really isn't.
Okay.
You could handle it. So on that note,
We will see. how
Cooley, are
this
you gonna go
works
see
out.
it?
Nah,
Why not?
I'm gonna wait because I go to the theater for that surround sound experience and have all that shit. So I'm gonna sit on the edge of my couch and be all like tense and shit like that at home when it comes
That makes sense, though.
when
I
it
can
comes to the
totally
television.
understand that too.
I have I told you already. I have limited movie funds. That has been expanded greatly recently using Movie Pass.
So you can
Movie Pass, can you
go
sponsor-
For only
see it.
$9.99 per month, you can see any movie you want for 30 days.
I mean, yeah.
But yeah, no, seriously, like it's not an ad for Movie Pass, but just saying, like it's been expanded by that, but I still have limited funds, and I use those funds for like new releases like Infinity War, Black Panther, like all the movies that I know I can't use Movie Pass for on day one.
Yeah.
That's a great segue.
I mean, that's cool, man. It's definitely something I think is worth seeing in the theater, because you don't go to a theater and see things in like a quiet setting. So it's very different than what you're used to. And I thought that was it's just a unique experience,
it's
man.
it definitely sounds cool, right? But at the same time, not cool enough for me to like go and like do it like in the moment. Like it's not a movie that I was like rushing out to see. I see my sci-fi blockbusters and my superhero movies and stuff like that in the theater. Unless I get dragged by, the wife or the fam to go and see something with them. She went to see it. Courtney went to see it. She thought it was all right, but that means it's probably really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
why she doesn't do a podcast. Like yeah.
It was
So
good.
yeah.
All right. Word.
Oh. So I'm
How was the
sold.
movie? Thumbs up.
And I also have very limited
How
funds.
was that movie? It was weird. All right. Word.
Word. All right.
You're right. That was a word.
Yep.
There was one word.
Well, I'm going to go with glyph on that.
I'm gonna go with Meg. That trailer just dropped, which
Man, yeah.
dude, I'm a huge Jaws fan, so any shark movie that comes out, I have to check out. And
Sharknado?
Sharknado, I didn't see any of those. I refuse to. They look like trash.
I saw all of them.
You totally would. But this movie, man, is based on a book written by Steve Alton. So this movie is based on a book written by Steve Alton, which I actually read in high school, and I flew through that book because it was so damn good. And I've been waiting a long time for this movie. I didn't even think they were actually going to make it. I'm kind of surprised they didn't make it sooner, to be honest with you. But I feel like now is probably a good time just because they have the ability to do that with kind of like CGI and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, I feel like if they did try to do it in when I was in high school, it probably would look like shit. But the trailer looks awesome. I mean, to
Trailer
kind of
looks
see what we're
awesome.
talking about,
He's
watch
right.
the damn trailer. It's got Jason Statham in it.
Like that's the only thing I really don't like about the trailer is that there's Jason Statham in this movie.
I would kind of agree with you in the fact that when I watched it, I saw Jason Statham, and I instantly thought to myself, "So is are we to believe that Jason Statham is a doctor in this?"
Right. Like what is like Jason Statham
He's a
like,
scientist. He's a marine biologist.
Right.
Right.
Suspension of disbelief, guys.
But aside from that, though, like I mean, like here's the thing: when you do a movie like this, right? Like Jaws, when it came out, right? Like Richard Dreyfuss, like wasn't like
He wasn't really known.
yeah, he wasn't a known actor. Neither was Snyder, right? Scheider. Roy Scheider,
Chief
yeah.
Brody.
Like these were all people that they got for this movie, and like things happened in this movie where everything progressed naturally, and you never knew like who was gonna survive. I know Jason Statham's gonna survive. So like watching this movie,
But you
like
don't though.
I feel
mean,
like we. I'm
well, I
sorry.
don't know he's gonna survive, but I know he's the hero of the story, right?
Based on how he's been typecast.
Right. So like if I'm going to go and watch a movie like this is like they've in my eyes, I'm looking at this and it's going to be a fun movie. Don't get me wrong. It looks great. It looks a lot of fun. But the only thing that kills it for me is Jason Statham, because now it's turned into, in my opinion, it's going to turn into the Fast and Furious of Jaws movies.
So the only reason why this movie actually is getting put out or is being released is because originally people dropped off the cast, and then Jason Statham actually said he might not do it. The only reason why this movie got made is because he stayed on. If he didn't stay on, this would have never came to film. So,
Even with Rainn Wilson?
and yeah, no. The guy from The Office that hasn't done anything since this.
He's the man.
Yeah. He was in my super
excited to have seen
girlfriend or ex-girlfriend or whatever.
It was great
But, like,
seeing him in the trailer. I was like, oh.
Oh no,
yeah.
I'm excited to see him.
Yeah.
Too.
I
mean,
feel like
he's-
he's that he can play that scientist, whereas like the Jason Statham can't. Like we don't see him as that because we're so used to like Expendables and this and that. Like we see him as that action hero.
Yeah.
So I totally understand your point. It's like the viewer is already going in with a predisposition of who this person has been in other films, right? So now we're feeling like, what the heck's going on?
Yeah, like I would just really love to see this movie cast with lesser known actors. Right?
Okay.
So that I can go into it not knowing like who's gonna play what role and what's gonna happen and like who's gonna be the hero, who's not gonna be who's gonna be the person that's getting saved and or whatever. Like who like I wanna go in just like completely blind.
Right.
Right? And when you typecast somebody or you cast somebody who's normally typecast, it just kinda it spoils that effect.
But I probably they need those big names, for funding. How are you gonna get? I mean, who's
Well, yeah, especially when you're doing a shark movie. Like you go to like your Hollywood execs and you're just like, yeah, I want to do a movie about a giant shark. They're just gonna be like,
and what? It's Warner Brothers, right?
who's in it?
Yeah. So
Brothers.
so they need some buy-in. They
Yeah.
need some big
But-
names.
But here's my thing with that. Like I completely agree with you on the fact that like it's Jason Statham. Like we don't see him as a marine biologist, but at the same time, I'm all for actors trying to step out of what they've been typecast as. And the fact that this movie
Agreed.
has a big name attached to it gives me a little bit of faith that this movie actually could be pretty good.
Right on.
And it's like it's like when you watch movies like friggin' like Alien versus Predator. There's no name actors in that movie, which is why these movies kind of suck. Like you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying
think that's
I'm
the
not saying
reason.
wait a minute. Let me rephrase. It's not that it's not that the movies suck, and it's because it's not that the people that were acting in the films were bad. It's that it doesn't give the movie a lot of credibility when they don't have
Less buy-in.
when they don't have less buy-in or actors that where the movie is willing to put a big put funding behind this. Like
Right.
if it's like Tom Hanks is in it, he's not doing a shitty movie.
Right.
You know
No,
what I'm
that's-
saying?
That's
So
absolutely
that's
true.
what I
It's a
mean.
great
let's-
point.
Yeah.
But let's put it this way. When you use that example, when you have Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah.
Oh,
it's Arnold versus an alien, and you know Arnold's winning, and everything else around it is ancillary, right?
Right.
But if you have Predators where it's a bunch of no-name actors, right? You don't know who's coming out on top. You have no idea. You're going into this movie and you're just like, I want to watch this movie, and you're like, you see like the battle of where. Now this movie is Jason Statham versus a shark, rather than a movie about a shark terrorizing people, which is like what I want to see. You know what I mean? This
Sure.
is like Jason Statham versus Jaws on steroids.
but that's how they get that buy-in for
Thank
all
you.
those action fans.
Yes,
to
yes,
come
no,
in
and I'm not
wanna
arguing
watch
that.
it. Yeah. No, I know you're not.
right,
I know
I'm
you're
not arguing
No,
that. I'm
but I
saying
get
I'm
your
just saying
point
that
from-
that method is broken. That's all I'm saying.
I wholeheartedly agree with you from an artistic standpoint, from a film standpoint, however you want to put it. I totally get it. The same can be said about a lot of industries, right? Music and things like that. So they need those certain names so that audience members can feel like, okay, it's not low budget.
Right.
It's got a budget.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, don't we live in a society where movies, it's popular for the big star to die nowadays?
Ooh.
I mean, it's gone all the way back to, let's take another shark movie. Samuel L. Jackson, like, classically died in a hilarious way in Deep Blue Sea that nobody saw coming. I mean, people are big name actors and they'll do movies and they'll die. And I feel like today in pop culture, that's kind of the cool thing to do. That's the niche thing to do. So
Great point.
it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to survive.
I mean, I'll just say, like, I've read the book, so, I mean, like, I know how everything ends. So, I mean, if you want to know more about the movie before you go see it, just read the book.
Well,
I mean, the book, you're going to fly through it. A lot of people aren't going to read the book
Encyclopedia
because they don't like to
Britannica.
read. But, I mean, it's so damn good.
we all read Ready Player One, and we all saw Ready Player One. So we honestly, that's not. I mean, I get what you're saying. That's not. I don't think that's like actually valid for
That's
like
not-
the ending of the movie.
That's
You don't know
not
what you're getting.
Well, no, because if you've read the book, then it's Ready Player One would have needed like 3 movies to do that, to do everything they did in the book. If you're going to talk about this can be done in one movie.
How
and
about World
the-
War Z?
But the ending could stay the same, and in that it was in the book, and still it would be a good film.
From personal experience, I can attest to that even when there's a book already made and then there's a movie, and having been part of a movie that was based on a book personally, and I was playing a character who was in a movie. So the book was called Outside Providence and the movie was called Outside Providence.
I
That
need
was a
to
great
see
movie.
the scene you're in. You told me about
I'm in
this.
2 scenes, yeah. And I
Oh,
would
you're
have
in that movie?
Yeah.
Yo, that's like my favorite. One of my favorite movies.
No way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would have been in a
Dildo.
a 3rd and 4th scene that got cut out because literally on set they changed how the movie was going to go based on a couple of different factors. And well, that was on one of them that they changed, and then the second one was post-production. So, for instance, if you've ever seen the movie, the original lines I had was an inquiry about, hey, where's the party for Mousy, right? So there's no spoilers now. It's been out for 20 years, so
Yeah.
it's no spoiler. Anyway, they changed who died in the film. So originally in the book, Mousy dies, right? And I think Mousy in the book has a completely different name, but still that character dies, right? But they changed it after the fact. So I go to this party. I pull up in a VW bus, and I ask where the party for Mousy is. Someone replies. I show up to the party because they're celebrating Mousy's life. So my next scene was I'm on a couch, and I had a makeout scene, which was very uncomfortable and awkward for a dude like me. And I still remember her name. Her in real life, her name was Galit, which means little wave in Hebrew. Sorry to go on a tangent here, but
Was she good at fake kissing?
yeah, but I was so nervous. But yeah, she was, and that's all I'll say about it. In case I'll leave it at that. So, now this other character, Drugs Delaney, was sitting on the couch watching us make out. But after the fact, they changed who died in the film. They changed it to Drugs Delaney dying and not Mousy. So now they couldn't show the makeout scene because Drugs Delaney's on the couch watching us make out. And I can't ask, where's the party for Mousy? Because it's Drugs Delaney who dies. So sometimes, even though the book is written a certain way, it's still going to get changed.
Yeah.
On set or after the fact if they don't have things or whatever. So even if the book says one thing for Meg, it could end up a completely different way is my point, So we still don't know. And to your point, Jim, is that's a great point. Somebody could say like, hey, I'll take this role, but I'm cool like with dying. That's cool. You're gonna die. All right, cool. I never die in movies. That's gonna be cool.
Leonardo DiCaprio loves dying in movies. That's like his thing.
Right on. So that's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, I think it's still going to be a good movie based on the trailer. I mean, it looks like a lot of fun.
I agree.
I'm just saying, like, the type of movie that it is, it doesn't strike me as like the next Jaws. You know what I mean? Just because it's
one of the things they've done in this movie is they've actually done like a lot of like small things in the trailer that are like shout outs to Jaws, where like the shark jumps out of the water like onto a boat, like that's clearly the end of Jaws.
Right.
There's also so bloodydisgusting.com actually released a shout out to the poster, because the poster is pretty brilliant. And actually it's done horizontally and vertically. And the vertical one is basically, if you've ever seen the Jaws poster, it's a shark coming up to a swimmer on the top,
Right.
which is Chrissy, who gets eaten at the beginning. In this poster, it's a shark following a diver, and then right below the shark that is drawn to look exactly like Jaws, there's a huge mouth following that shark.
It is brilliant.
So it's literally a play on Jaws, and like people like on the internet have gone crazy over this poster because it's clearly a shout out to one of the greatest shark movies of all time.
Well, I mean,
and I think that's awesome.
Let's be honest. I think every shark movie that has ever come out is chasing Jaws.
Yeah.
So how could you not?
Yeah.
I mean,
They set
nothing has been as good as Jaws.
It's like most metal bands trying to be like Metallica or Iron Maiden. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. They're always going to chase that perfect moment.
And I
Right.
think I think one of the reasons too why Jaws was so perfect is because no one had ever experienced a shark movie before. Like Spielberg was the first person to do that. So once people have had that first experience of like, oh shit, sharks are real and they're in the water, you're not going to be able to recreate that
Right.
that first experience of a shark movie.
and when you start messing
yeah,
with
it's
someone's
kind of
psyche,
like serial killers and Jack the Ripper.
oh yeah, right. Like somebody could be out there.
Right.
A shark could be in the water, and it plays off that psyche of that fear of like somebody's watching me, and same with like any kind of extraterrestrial thing, like oh they're out there, right?
Yeah.
Whether you movie like Aliens or Signs or insert any other like extraterrestrial movie.
Man, I would love to talk about that stuff.
Yeah, me
Dot,
too.
dot, dot.
But it plays off of that fear that someone may or may not have, right?
If only there was somewhere you can go to listen about this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Stay tuned.
Two really quick things. Did anybody get a sense of the movie Piranha when they were showing all the people in the water? Do we know what this movie's going to be rated, if it's PG-13 or if it's R? Because I definitely got a Piranha feel from when you saw all the people swimming in
Hanging
the
out
water.
at the beach?
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
And then you kind of see the Meg come
Like,
in.
That was such a brutal scene in Piranha, man. Oh my
The worst
god.
part was when the girl got her hair caught in the rotors of the The other thing that I would say, and this is completely for another time, we're going back to something we were talking about 5 minutes ago, was do we want to see a movie directly follow a book? I know that this is something that's going to be hard to get into right now, but
It depends if the action in the book is consistent, but it doesn't always have to be action. I mean, I mean, books are hard to follow because everybody has their own imagination when they read a book.
Sure.
So everybody's interpretation is going to be different. So you're not going to be able to like live up to everybody's expectations. But sometimes I don't mind if it follows the book like straight on.
Okay.
I mean, but I like surprises too.
But that's what I'm saying is if at least it kind of follows the linear logic of the book itself and it hits on all the points that you expect it to hit on, such like Walking Dead, how people wanted to follow the comic book. Do you really want that to happen
When you've already read the
when
book?
you already know exactly what's
Sure.
about to happen?
I agree.
I guess this is something for another time.
Sure, influence and inspiration, but then you create something else, right? Is that your point? Like kind of.
Yeah. Do you
I can
really
sum
wanna
it up.
Watch what you already know.
I can sum it up quickly. I mean, like, if you're gonna deviate from the source material, just do it well.
Okay.
If you deviate from the source material and you give me a piece of shit, then I am going to really be like disenchanted with the whole thing. Like, I'm just gonna walk away, right? But if you deviate from the source material and you do it well and you give me something that's equally as good but different, then that's way better than giving me just
Garbage.
what the book
No,
was.
I agree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think it's a matter of where do we draw the line, because I think we're all in agreement here that Ready Player One does not follow the book at all.
No, but
it
it
was
was
a fun movie.
It was a lot of fun. It was equally good. Same thing with Walking Dead. Like, I mean, like, the stuff that I'm seeing in the show is equally good to what I'm reading in the books, and it's way different.
I can tell you one thing right now. Just this has been my closing thoughts on this personally is I'm looking at the rating. It's PG-13, which definitely tells me that they're not going to be able to show a lot of the things that actually happen in the book. The other thing too is from watching the trailer, there are some scenes in the trailer that don't look like they were in the book. So it probably is going to deviate somewhat, but I think the general concept of how they see the Meg and discover it and how it actually gets to the surface does look very similar. But there are definitely some differences. But I'm gonna go see it either way because this
Of
looks
course.
damn good. But regardless, I really wish it had a rated R, man, because they could do some stuff with that.
It's going to be more action movie than horror.
Yeah. Oh, well, it would have to be too if Jason Statham's in it. They got to give him some action scenes.
You know,
So-
complete different tangent too, and I know we didn't talk about it in the intro, but it was something that I realized that I wanted to kind of bring up at some point. Maybe we do. You know, I'm the guest, so I don't want to be that guy.
By the way, Jay's here, guys.
Yeah, by the by.
By the by, and maybe we'll do this at another time, but I wanted to bring up the fact that does anyone remember when the brothers were accused, the brothers who created the Matrix were accused and then settled out of court?
The Wachowski brothers?
The Wachowski brothers, thank
Yep.
you. I didn't want to drop
The
names.
sisters. Well, they're sisters now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But remember how they were accused and then settled out of court that they had taken a story and then ran with it that somebody else wrote?
I forgot the whole story behind that. Could you give us a brief?
Well, they are siblings. Well,
Yeah.
the siblings, right?
But I mean, like, one's trans and the other.
Yeah, so now they're siblings.
No, they both are.
Did
now.
they-
All right, but
They-
at the time they were
Regardless.
brothers. So
It
thank you
doesn't-
for
it
correcting me.
doesn't
But so forgive me. I don't mean any disrespect.
Oh,
but
no.
you know, obviously, but at the time. But has anyone heard about Stranger Things? About Montauk, and how this was originally a screenplay written by someone else.
I heard about
Okay.
this, but we're going to need more details.
Yeah, so let's save that for another time then. But
Cool.
but yeah,
Yeah,
but
I think there are listeners that are gonna want to shoot you if you don't just like complete your thought right now.
We're
Because
Well,
building
I'm in
another
that camp.
podcast.
that's right.
away.
We are building another podcast. And
Subscribe.
yeah, you subscribe, follow, and listen, because you know what?
It's coming
it
up.
Might not be the next one. It might be the next time that these fine people ask me down, and then we will talk about it. But yeah, apparently it was a short film that was titled The Montauk Project, and he gave the Duffers the script, the ideas, the story, and the film to kind of flesh out the idea, and they allegedly took and they spun those ideas into that series, which we now know as Stranger Things. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. But yeah, it was set in Montauk, Long Island, and then they kind of changed it, obviously, in the story to be in Hawkins, Indiana,
Something
right?
like that. I think,
Something like
yeah.
that. So yeah, check it out. But yeah, I believe the Kessler. If you look up Kessler, forget his first name, but if you look up that, he originally created the Montauk
I
Project.
am intrigued.
Yeah, so check it out. But yeah, I'll leave it at that, and we'll let the listeners kind of do some investigating before we do that
Word.
podcast. Cool.
Is there a name to the podcast that they might be able to check out at some point?
Possibly. I don't know. It's some sort of funspiracy, but we'll figure it out at some point.
With that being said, ...
Take a break.
Cool. Yo, Cooley, what's going on, man?
Not much, bro. What's up?
Pretty good, man. So, dude, do you when it comes to investing, do you get all this stuff about stocks? Does it make sense to you?
Yo, I'm the best. I'm not really that great at it. I do it, but it's more of a dabbling thing.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not a master at this. I would like to know more. I'm always wondering if I'm going to invest my money in the right places. But a good place to get this stuff started is at supplyanddemandinvesting.com.
Yo, so true. Stop following the modern portfolio theory investment crowd and try an alternative means of investing your hard-earned money at supplyanddemandinvesting.com.
And for a limited time, submit any 5 stocks, mutual funds, or exchange-traded funds and receive a free SDI analysis on each.
Simply go to supplyandemandinvesting.com/redbeard. That's us. Fill out the form along with your selections, and you'll receive your free SDI analysis within 48 to 72 hours.
Go to supplyandemandinvesting.com/redbeard for your free analysis today.
And thanks to supplyandemandinvesting.com for their continued support of the Redbeard podcast.
Wow, I know where to invest now. I know where to go for some great advice.
Yes.
I have a lot of credit card debt.
I don't know if he does that, bro.
He doesn't do that, bro. Well, you know where to go to never be in debt again.
Go to neverindebtagain.org.
Doesn't matter anyway because the end is near.
Ooh.
Oh, man.
Ooh.
What do you
Good
mean?
perspective.
April 27th.
It's a good day.
It's all over.
It's all over. For infinity? Forever?
Forever.
Is it going to end in a war?
It's
Yo,
gonna
there's
be
a dude
forever.
that goes by the name of Thanos. And he's been collecting rocks throughout the galaxy.
Heck yeah.
And he's on his way to Earth to get the last one. And when it happens, lights out.
Lights out. Guerrilla radio.
I can't wait. All
It's a movie
Marvel
called Infinity
movies have
War.
been culminating into this moment,
Yeah.
and we're finally getting it.
Man.
The introduction of Thanos.
So there's a big, there's a story online that says that within the first 10 minutes of the movie, something happens where it basically shows how powerful Thanos actually is.
Wow.
So he's probably going to destroy a planet or
Crush
or
it.
just kill off a major character, which I'm excited for.
Man, it's probably gonna be Johnny Cage.
Yeah, at the beginning of Annihilation. What an awful movie. I don't know, man. I'm pumped for this, dude. I'm just I'm trying to get excited, trying not to get excited talking about it again because I can't see it yet. So I'm just trying to be so chill about it. How many times have I watched this trailer and I'm like, oh, I can't wait, and I'm so tired of getting. I'm so exhausted of getting amped to just have to calm down
All
again.
the dopamine just flows and then
goes
goes away.
you know what I'm looking forward to? I'm looking forward to the Avengers just getting ruined in this movie. I'm
It's time to put them in their place.
No, I really am looking forward to the Avengers just going down, and then we have to wait another year for Infinity War Part 2 to come out to have the Avengers actually finally find a way to take this guy out, because it's good to actually see a superhero come into play or have a villain come into play that literally can step on them all.
Oh yeah.
And I love that because it's unrealistic to think that there's something out there that there's always going to be a way for them to beat something. And then in the end, I'm sure there will be because they're the Avengers, but I'm looking forward to possibly seeing that not be a thing in this movie. And to see all these
So
fans walk out just like, oh no.
Are we-
Like, you know.
are we looking at this movie as Marvel's Empire Strikes Back?
Ooh, good call.
Yeah, it could be.
This is, I mean, in chronological order, no, but this is definitely like going to be probably the darkest one. Yeah, like if we're looking at Empire as the darkest Star Wars movie, then we're looking at this one as like definitely that's what it is.
I think there's a lot of things in this trailer that really get me excited. It's like, you know, everybody knows Thanos is a very powerful villain, and we know what he's capable of, but they give hints to that in the trailer, like especially where you see Captain America, you know, go face to face with him for a second, and Thanos is kind of just like grabs like Captain America with one hand, and Captain America is like really struggling to like fight that one hand, and it's just one hand, and Thanos is just kind of like, oh, that's cute. You know what I mean? Where he's just letting him have his moment thinking he's winning, and then he's just gonna stomp on him.
Right.
And, you know, I think this might be the end of Captain America in this movie. Well, at least Chris Evans, in my opinion. But I mean,
Big talk.
who knows what's gonna happen? I honestly, I'm actually pumped to just see Josh Brolin as Thanos too. I mean, like, this is badass. I mean, he's having a fantastic year. Not only is he playing Thanos, which is a big Marvel character, he's also playing Cable in Deadpool.
Wow.
I mean, this
right?
guy's killing it.
Think about that.
Killing it, right? So I'm just excited to see him jump into the cinematic universe. I think it's gonna be badass.
We watched that little featurette before we started the show, and that shit really kind of made me see this movie a little bit differently, because there were a lot of like on the set things that they showed, and like a lot of clips that basically it's just the interaction between all these characters that never got to like hang out together, especially the Guardians, with Chris Pratt like just being looks like he's just a very big part of the movie. Like, he's interacting with all of the characters, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But it's also really cool to see like how well they play together with their powers and skill sets and stuff like that, and how they can all kind of mesh together to become like this force against Thanos,
Totally. Oh my gosh.
which is all going to be for nothing because he's got the Infinity Gauntlet. So
There ain't no match for the Infinity
Dude,
Gauntlet.
I can't even imagine what the budget was like for this movie.
Well,
I mean, every single actor there is making over $1 million. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all
Let
these
alone the
have their
sets
own
and-
Marvel movie. I mean, and they're all in one movie. Jesus.
dude.
right.
I mean, but it's Disney money. So,
Yeah, this is why it was a great idea for Disney to buy Marvel Studios.
They know they'll definitely see the return on that.
oh, yeah.
There's
No,
no
this is going
doubt.
to be huge.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Not even Wikipedia is stating how much this movie costs. They are
Yeah.
keeping it under wraps.
Wow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's got to be a ridiculous amount. And it's just part one.
Well,
You know,
yeah.
there was a guy that I happened to speak to a while back, and he works for Hasbro, and he's in charge of the toy design, like the packaging.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
he was telling me that in the Marvel department, he's like, all these movies are ruined for me. He's like, because I actually know what happens. He's like, to be able to design the toy packaging. He's like, so all the fandom for me goes out the window for these movies. He's like, but I still go to see them. Of
course.
And he said, I was like, oh man, I was like, so this was like maybe like 9 months ago. I said, man, so you already know, this was before like The Last Jedi came out. And I was like, so you already know what happens in the Infinity Gauntlet. He goes, I know what happens in the Infinity Gauntlet. He goes, and I mean, in what the hell, in Infinity War. He goes, and I know what happens in Infinity War Part 2. He goes, and all I'm going to tell you, he goes, is people have no idea what is going to go down in Infinity War. He goes, this is going to blow people's minds.
That's
And
awesome.
this
Like,
guy,
so has he seen the movies? Is that
he basically, he hasn't, they gave him like a
like a breakdown.
They gave him, it was a confidential thing that he had to sign.
NDAs.
Where basically, an NDA about the entire script, basically, right? But then I think he said in a couple months Hasbro was gonna get a screening that was like they all had to sign NDAs before they saw it because the people that were working on toy design, like some of these toy designs are already released, so they had to know way in advance. So like 4-5 months before, 2 weeks from now, he'd already like was gonna be able to see the film.
That's where I need to work, bro.
So, and I can tell you, but he was just like, he's like, it's going to blow people's minds. He's like, they have no idea what's coming. So just from hearing that alone is pumping me up to see this film. It just looks so damn good.
Except if I do that, then I wouldn't be able to do this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because of NDAs.
Yeah,
exactly.
I will say, though, the one thing that has always made me laugh in some of these trailers is the Spider-Man scene where he's on the bus and like they're all in like this, he's either going home or he's on a field trip and like that thing that is like the biggest thing you've ever seen is just hovering in the sky, and like the only way he knows it's there is because his spidey sense kicks in and the hair stands up on his arm. He's like, wait a second, like traffic didn't stop, like no one else on the bus saw it. I mean, suspension of disbelief that he was the first one to see it. But I mean, that just makes me laugh that like he had to wait for that to kick in to notice that.
Well, that's why I even said, like when you had said that, I was like, well, like isn't that like a perfect example of society today, of like American society? Everyone's so preoccupied with their phones and they're looking down, they're distracted. So maybe it did take the spidey senses for him to realize what was going on outside that window.
I mean, I'm sure there's reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
There's always a reason, but it just makes me laugh. It's something I find funny. But whatever.
But the other thing too is like, why does a spider sense work like that? I mean, like that thing that was hovering in the sky didn't look like it posed any immediate threat to him at all.
Right.
Which means that his spider sense is activated by anything that's dangerous in his surrounding area, which means that he is probably always on fire because, like,
Right, every time he
he's in
drives
New
by
York,
McDonald's.
bro. Like
Yeah.
he's in New York,
Any
so like
fast
there's
food.
there's so many dangerous things in New York.
Drives
So,
by
like, I mean, like,
Walmart.
And he's going through hormones right now too. So I mean, does this alert him as to STDs? And
Sorry, girl, we can't hook
oh,
up.
college is going to be mayhem for him.
This looks like it could be fun, but something's off in there.
Something is totally off.
Every party is going to walk into is like, what? Where do I look?
Oh man.
Oh man.
But yeah, like I am so looking forward to it, man. What are you looking forward to the most, Jim?
Oh. I really can't pinpoint one thing. I guess I'm excited to see the. Oh, this is terrible that it's drawing a blank. I can't wait to see the Guardians of the Galaxy finally come into the fold with everybody else.
Right on. Yeah.
I think we've thoroughly enjoyed the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and we want to see them interact with the other members of the Avengers and just the superheroes in general of the Marvel Universe.
Right.
I think it's about time to bring them into the fold.
And they're obviously the group that's going to bring the comic relief. I mean, Chris Pratt is the comic relief of the
Right.
series. Totally. You know, I like where he's like, he says to Iron Man, he's like, yeah, so that plan's stupid. He's like, so why don't you let me come up with a plan because it'll probably be a better plan or whatever.
What about you, Tone?
I'm just looking forward to seeing Thanos smash people. Like, I really am. Like, as dark as it sounds, and you know, maybe people are expecting to be like, oh, I can't wait to see the Avengers like save the day, and it's like, yeah, like I am, but I'm also looking to see like some villain come in and really show them like yeah, you guys are powerful, but you're not.
You want
know,
to see
like
a worthy opponent.
Yeah, I do. I feel like the Avengers are always going to be able to take out somebody, and I want to see somebody come in and just have so much power that it seems impossible. You know, like you literally at the end of this movie going to be like, how the hell are they going to beat this guy? Like there's no way. Like I want that to be a thought that crosses everybody's mind. You know, like there are villains out there that are very powerful and they can get taken down, but you know, there has to be a villain out there somewhere that if they wanted to actually inflict damage and pain onto a group of people, probably would be unstoppable. That's not an unrealistic, possibility, as scary as that is. And I think that this movie is gonna bring that that idea, to the forefront.
No, I completely agree. There's got to be a Superman gone bad.
Thank you. Very great way to describe
You
it.
know
Yeah.
how they always say we got to put into measures what happens if Superman or someone like Superman comes down and decides he wants to take over the planet. He has every ability to do so.
Right.
Yeah. Like, not to bring it back, but like that line from Suicide Squad, like what are we going to do if Superman decides he wants to kill the president?
That's what I mean.
You know what I mean? He's going to do it. There's no way to stop him. I don't care what team you come up with.
And like you got the Guardians in the Guardians movies, and you see all of these like immensely powerful beings out in the galaxy, but they don't seem so powerful out there because there's just everybody out there is like loaded, right?
Right.
But you bring that to Earth, and oh shit, you know what I mean? Now it's real.
I think the other thing I'm really looking forward to see though is we've all seen these different superheroes basically win in somewhat different ways in their own movies, except for the Avengers. But now we have people like the Black Panther, we have Doctor Strange, we have the new Spider-Man, we have all these, like Ant-Man was another one. Like they're still kind of developing that, right? And we also have Venom is another one that's coming into the Marvel universe. Like I would like that. Venom is probably going to be a separate thing from this.
Yeah,
I don't
totally.
think that because obviously he's being an evil thing. It's not going to be part of this.
But plus he's all Sony. Like that's
actually, yeah, you're
Yeah.
true. Good point. But I'm looking to see like these characters that are still typically new come into this Marvel cinematic universe in one movie and literally see what they can do together. You know what I mean? Like, because Black Panther.
Captain
also
Marvel's
has-
going to make her debut in this too.
True, but yeah, and you also have, but you got Black Panther who
Right.
have this vibranium technology that we haven't even seen what it can do yet, and how is that going to work against Thanos?
Right.
Like what weapons do they have that we don't know about yet?
I feel like I might be getting a little ahead of myself. I'm excited to see Thanos, but we're talking about these big enemies and how are we going to combat against them. Do you think we're ever going to get to see Galactus?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
exactly the thought I had too. And I'm also wondering about, as a kid reading the comic books for Infinity Gauntlet, and even starting with like through Silver Surfer, going through all that into Thanos Quest, into Infinity Gauntlet, following this trajectory and realizing as a kid, so I was like 11 or 12 at the time, when you learn about like, okay, so he's doing this to impress Mistress Death. He wants to show her like, hey, look at me, check me out. And as like a young, impressionable preteen, I could identify with that. Like, so I'm wondering how they're gonna pull off that almost that prequel sense, or if they're gonna do a prequel, because we haven't really gotten that part, right?
This is that.
Right.
So Infinity War is that. Infinity War is Thanos' story leading up to him coming to Earth.
Right.
This is what I've gathered from all the interviews and what Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel Studios, has divulged to the audiences. This is literally Thanos' story, all about him. He's the main character in the movie. We're seeing it from his perspective for the majority of the movie.
Right.
Thanks, Finn. All right, and that is that's what we're getting. So I think we're gonna see like that backstory, especially like there was that little quick like 2-second or less flash of Thanos walking hand in hand with this little girl with green skin, which is Gamora.
Okay.
I mean, I think not to. I know you got
Yeah,
a
no,
point,
go-
but
yeah.
I think it's kind of crazy too to know that when we see how powerful Thanos is, who does he answer to, and how mind blowing is that shit?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right, but
Like,
he doesn't answer to anybody.
Well-
If this stays true to the, I can't tell you if it's going to stay true to the book, but Thanos answers to no one. He is a god in his own mind. He's a
Well,
Titan.
maybe he
He's from
doesn't-
the planet Titan. He destroyed his own people.
well, maybe he doesn't answer to anybody, but there's always somebody stronger than somebody.
That's what I was thinking.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
There's always a bigger shark out there.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
Yeah, there you go.
Pulling it back.
The
Right, but
Meg.
If there is the only beings more powerful than than Thanos would be like the elders of the universe. It would be like Eternity, which is like basically all of the Marvel universe wrapped into one one being, and then the Living Tribunal, the Entropy, Lady Entropy, and there's a few different ones. Like Thanos isn't even like bothered by Galactus. Like he doesn't look at Galactus as an equal, let alone somebody who can best him in combat.
I'm sorry, dude. I kind of just had that thought.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sorry.
you don't
Keep going.
you don't
You're on
have
a train there.
No, that's all right. No, I guess just like to kind of, and it kind of to echo kind of what you guys were saying too, is to think about like, so if we are going to see this from Thanos' perspective, beforehand, this is like the, hey, I wanna have this. I want to impress someone. It's interesting because if we're going to see it from his perspective, then we're almost like, what's that adage, where people pray for villains and people kind of like align themselves and say like, gosh, kind of like when people started feeling that way with like, viewers could feel that way with like a James Spader character in like Blacklist, where you kind of feel like, and you empathize with, the villain, and you say, wow, well, like there's a reason for it. And I guess that was kind of where I was kind of going with it. I forgot exactly what I was going to say.
You see it from his perspective,
Right.
you align with him.
Yeah.
That really is kind of what they're doing with this character. There was a, you know how like on the backs of toys you get the description of the character and stuff. The description for Thanos' character on the back of his toy was literally that he's like, trying to save the universe by like destroying half of it or some shit like that. Save the universe from itself.
Right.
So like we're gonna find out what his motives are, what his motivation is. I don't know if it's gonna be as simple as him trying to impress Death, which is I really wish it was.
Oh my
because
gosh, that'd be amazing.
It's one of the greatest greatest love stories in the universe. Is the story of Thanos like trying to win the hand of Mistress Death.
Right.
Is like one of my favorite stories. But I don't know if we're actually going to get that, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we are going to get a lot of his motivation. They are trying to paint him as less of an evil character and more of somebody who is just not misunderstood by any means. Like he is definitely like he means what he's doing. Like he's not like he's not like, like misguided or anything. Like he's definitely single-minded. But like he has maybe a little bit of nobility to his reasoning.
And I guess that's exactly what I was going with. Like with, if the viewer is gonna feel like, wow, now I can align with this, or I see something here, and like, wow, poor Thanos, like at some point.
Right.
But yeah. Either way, I think it's gonna be a fantastic story. I think it's gonna be a great movie, my opinion.
What are you looking forward to the most?
I guess that's what I was kind of getting to, is like to see how they'll do that, since we've seen so many of the heroic sides and angles of things, right? And in this like, happy,
Just flipping it all on its
yeah,
head.
now just going, and then to echo what Jim said with, is this going to be like the Empire Strikes Back of the Marvel Universe? Is this going to be the, hey, now we're going to see the dark side on the dark side?
Yeah. John Cafferty.
So
On
for
the
me,
dark side.
it's I mean, like I'm a big fan of the comics, obviously, and in the books. Recently they just introduced a team of villains, you would call them. I guess they're not really villains, they're just like they're Thanos' team, the Black Order. They're basically like his henchmen. That's what they are. They're his henchmen. And you talk about, how powerful Thanos is and all that, but just imagine that he surrounds himself with like the people that he thinks are the most powerful like people in the galaxy.
Right.
You have Corvus Glaive, Proxima Midnight, the Ebon Maw, and they all have like their own different skill sets. And I think there's like actually a couple more, but those were the three that actually were like the main ones in the book. But they are devastatingly powerful, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna see them first because they're kind of like his heralds. Like they kind of go and scope out like these worlds before he actually comes to conquer. So yeah, I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most, is actually seeing them come down and actually kick ass, and see like how the Avengers deal with them before Thanos decides, hey, I need to handle this myself.
Right.
Because usually like he won't come down and do shit unless like his people are failing him.
Right.
As we've seen in previous movies, especially in the Guardians of the Galaxy, like where you see him like on a throne, basically sending his minions out to do his bidding. And then he finally like goes in the end of, what was it? I think it was in the end of Civil War, maybe, where he puts on the glove and he's like, I guess I'm gonna have to do this myself, which is where we all kind of got the chills and we were like, oh shit, this is this is finally happening. So yeah, I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most, though, is seeing the Black Order come down and kick ass for a bit. And yeah, that's it.
Can I also say something that I'm a little excited for?
No.
I am excited now with Thanos coming down to the Marvel Universe. I'm excited to finally see a cinematic chin that rivals Bruce Campbell's.
Nice.
Oh, sick. Oh, man.
Did you ever see The
that
Incredibles?
rivals Bruce Campbell's. That's great.
You
Why
ever
does
see
the
The
guy who
Incredibles?
plays Thanos sound a lot
Yes.
like the guy from No Country for Old Men?
Close, but no cigar.
No.
I know. Oh.
Nothing. That was a stupid joke.
Oh.
You'll hear how
Thanos,
bad it
that
is when you
is
re-listen to this.
robust.
And so will everybody else. On that joke.
So, just to kind of take us home, man, we all watched the first episode of Atlanta before starting this. I am absolutely a fan. I binge watched the entire series.
Wow.
I'm caught up. The second season is on its 7th episode, and I've seen all of them.
Wow.
And loved every single minute of what I watched. And it's not necessarily like what you would call a straight like comedy.
Right.
Right.
It's a comedy drama,
Word.
and it has its moments of like real life stuff, and it's got its and I think a lot of the comedy comes from like real life things anyway. So it's a dramedy.
I was
But-
just gonna say it's like a dramedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really love it. It really touches home on a lot of things for me. I shared it with you guys today. I wanted to see like what your takes on the show are.
I think the comedy comes from how well fleshed out the characters seem to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like they seem like real people in real life situations, and the humor comes from that. It's completely relatable.
Absolutely. It's like not as slapstick, and there's no shtick to it like let's say like an everyday thing like a Seinfeld or whatever, right? But it's an everyday. It's relatable, and you feel like these characters are believable because either we know someone like that or we can relate to something like that, and it feels real, and I thoroughly enjoyed that first episode.
I mean, you guys are kind of like taking the words right out of my mouth, but I can kind of phrase it in my own way, is that when I watch this, it reminds me of like just stupid conversations I would have with my friends.
Right.
That I'll be like, oh, this would be so funny if like this was actually filmed like this moment. And like the thing that really stuck out to me, it's they're sitting on the couch or whatever, and he's like, yo, play track 17 or whatever. And then like he plays like 30 seconds of it, and then he just like drops his phone. He's like, yeah, but that's like the premise.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he amped it up, and then it was just like, yeah, whatever, man. But it was just like that's the conversation you would have with your friends, you
Right.
know, like, and they seem to do that so effortlessly in this, and I think that's what makes it an easy watch. It's just like, oh, you're like hanging out with your friends.
Yeah, like it's a show that's obviously about black people,
Wait, what?
but it's not just
I
for.
would say
It's not
so.
for black people. Like it's like, you know what I mean?
It's not FUBU.
Like I think it's something that is able to have a wide audience. You know what I'm saying? Because like
Yeah.
people can relate to them, like you said, right? And it's like it kind of. It's weird because like I'm not trying to get on a soapbox or anything like that, but I
No.
feel like it's one of these things that's it's like it's a unifying like show. It's just something that I think is like if you look at it on the surface, like some people might be like, oh, that that doesn't look like anything I'd be interested in, but when you watch it, it's like, oh, like
Totally relatable.
I'm totally like I totally get it. Like it's not alienating. It's not.
No, it's highly relatable, but
Yeah.
it focuses on like the black demographic.
Right.
I mean, that's basically what it is. But it's a great
The only
show.
reason-
Everybody
Right.
can identify with it.
Absolutely.
in some way.
I think the only
Yeah.
reason why people would look at it any differently is because time and time again, we haven't had shows that people were made privy to, right? It wasn't
Right.
available. So that's the only reason why socially we're looking at it in a complete, like some people, not everyone, would look at it like, oh, well, I might not relate to this on the surface. Well, I think that's predisposed to what society has determined for a lot of people.
Right.
Right. Like here's a kid, like the story is about a kid who's like basically almost homeless, but he went to Princeton.
Right. Think
Right.
about
Yeah,
that.
that's funny.
Like you have and like you have like different it shows that there are different kinds of people in the community, right? Where not everybody's the same and not everybody's a thug. You know what I mean? But there are thugs and like there are people that are like, dangerous people.
Right. We were
in the
kind of having
show.
this conversation about the vibe that individuals give out.
Right.
Right.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And like they're like, case in point, like that conversation where like this guy drops the N-bomb, and the main character Ern is like a softer type guy. Like he's not hardcore. This is the kid that went to Princeton. He has the conversation with him. He feels totally comfortable telling Ern that he
Right.
used the N-word. But then when Ern asks him to repeat it in front of his cousin, who is his cousin's not his cousin just gives zero fucks.
Right.
Like he's not necessarily really like
Maybe not as approachable.
he's not a bad dude, but he'll shoot a motherfucker.
Right. So, like, are you going to feel comfortable dropping that N-bomb in front of him?
Yeah, and like because his cousin has this aura,
Right.
that's just like he's quiet, like he's very he's always high. So when you look at him, he just has that look on his face that's just like like lethargic almost. But he's not the kind of guy that you look at and you're like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna say whatever the fuck I want around this dude.
Right.
And he asks him to repeat the story, and he tells the whole story again, but he leaves the part out where he uses the N-word. It's just real. To me, it was really funny because it was like that. Just it happens all the fucking time.
We know guys like
yeah,
that.
Exactly.
Do we see this show having mainstream demographic success? Because it's already been garnering a lot of awards. Donald Glover has won an Emmy for this. Do we see this as a show that's going to break into all demographic, like The Cosby Show and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Oh.
Well, no, because it deals with a lot of concepts that people are afraid of.
Yes, agreed. So I
Right.
don't know that it would go mainstream because of those reasons.
Exactly.
Yeah, 'cause that's a lot of underground stuff, too.
And it's not necessarily that it couldn't. It's just that I don't think it's going to get the promotion that it would need to become mainstream.
I agree.
Like it's won awards, right? But where are the commercials for Atlanta? Why isn't Atlanta in your face? Why aren't people talking to me about Atlanta instead of me telling everybody about it, right?
But it's a show that's deserving of the hype.
Absolutely. This is the one show that I've gone to. I mean, I've gone to almost everybody at work and put them onto this. And this show, like I found out about it. It's halfway through season 2. Season 2 is almost over, and this is the first time I knew about it and started watching it. And I started telling people about it. Everybody that I talked to said, "No, I've heard of it, and I've always wanted to check it out, but I haven't."
So I honestly think that that's going to change though because
Because of me. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
I'm kidding.
So I think it's going to change because he finally won an Emmy, which means that a lot of important people are actually watching this show and it's getting the recognition that it deserves. And I feel like once it gets something as big as an Emmy and they realize that a wide audience is actually really enjoying it and it's a well done show, then it's going to start getting pushed a little bit harder. And is it on FX?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you, man, I've seen a lot of commercials for Atlanta.
I've seen a lot of
on
commercials too.
FX and on
Right.
And so it doesn't. To me, it seems like it's getting a good amount of promotion. I just didn't really feel like I was watching other things, But now that I've had a chance to actually watch the first episode, I'll probably continue doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's not that it wasn't getting promotion. In my opinion, I feel like I've seen a lot of it, but it's gonna get more now. I think because it's gotten an Emmy.
Here's my point, right? Breaking Bad,
Mm-hmm.
killer show, right? So I'm using this as an example just because I already know that this show is like tops, right? Breaking Bad was not only promoted on AMC, but you see and hear about it on Twitter, on Facebook, on there are people throwing things out there, memes and stuff like that. This is a show where there is a lot of use of the N-word, right? There is a lot of grimy aspects of it, like as far as like the griminess of just ghetto life, and it makes a lot of people uncomfortable to watch and to be and to like actually like repeat things and say things and like really share things. So I think this is a show that is lacking in that exposure that you're going to get with a Breaking Bad or even a Jessica Jones.
But not to say, dude, not to put Atlanta down, but I'm just going to be devil's advocate, dude. I mean, Atlanta, from what I saw, is a good show. Breaking Bad is arguably the best show to ever come on television.
I was saying I used that as an example because it was arguably the best show on television,
but you know
and
what
because
I'm saying?
that's the level of promotion that it got. But then I toned it down and I said, but even like a Jessica Jones or even like a show, like think about a show that maybe as good as Atlanta. Like I mean, even Community got more push outside of its network.
Are you saying because it's a black show?
Because it deals with things that people aren't comfortable
It's
with.
edgy,
Not because it's a black show. Bill Cosby had a black show.
right?
Yeah, but you know what I'm
Right.
saying.
Like
you know what I'm
because
saying.
it's a black show that deals with real black issues, right?
So you think
It's-
that outside of blacks, like the white community, would have a hard time discussing this?
Or
The
might not
community in
gravitate
general,
towards
like
it.
our society is very afraid to offend people
Yes.
and to do or say things that are offensive, and rightfully so. I mean, like we shouldn't intentionally offend anybody, but when we're talking about shedding a light on something and shining a light on things that are happening,
I don't know, man. I kind of
Like-
I personally disagree with that, just because I feel like there's so much shit out there now that pushes the envelope in so many different ways. Like you had comedians like Louis C.K. You have comedians like, and everybody's gonna be well, Louis C.K. Look what he did. Like I don't give a shit. But look at like
yeah.
look at like Bill Burr and like not just in the comedy world, in horror movies and stuff like that. Like they push the envelope, and there's grimy stuff out there. There's offensive shit out there. Like everything is gonna offend somebody. But I don't think that that's the reason why. I don't think that's a viable argument to say that's the reason why this show isn't getting promotion. Like I said, as a white male, I've seen a lot of promotion for this show, and it's been very aware to me that it's on TV.
yo, when I see people that I know, like for instance, like if you start putting out like memes and like you don't do that, like that's not you. You don't put out like tons of memes about different shows, or you don't you don't promote shows. Like you don't say, oh, Breaking Bad this, Breaking Bad that. Like you did it once or twice, right? I do it once or twice, but I'm talking about like the people that are out there promoting shit. Like they're actually literally on there. Like they have like fan sites and they have this and that. Like I'd like to see it break cultural barriers like it can, because you watch the show, you saw what I saw, you know what I'm talking about. It's relatable to everybody. It doesn't need to just be for a black
but it's
audience.
still so early, man. This show's only in its second season. Like it's getting its feet are just touching the ground.
Right, and
I feel like now that it's got recognition, those things are going to change.
Yeah, and
That's what I'm saying.
if I may interject too, I'm speaking as someone who's still never seen Breaking Bad. Ever. I've not watched one episode, and I've heard, oh, it's great, it's this, it's that, you'll enjoy it, you'll thoroughly, enjoy it, and I still haven't watched
The
it.
moment's passed for you, bro.
right, but you've heard of Breaking Bad. How much have you heard about Atlanta?
Well, I think that goes to the fact that Breaking Bad's been around longer. That's
Exactly.
probably why I've heard it, but I feel like because of, you exposing it to us because you've seen it, that speaks volumes. That like, and then us watching, go, wow, that is really good. That speaks volumes about the show and the writing and like the acting. That like it will spread naturally. And I think that the same could be said about whether it's a television show, a movie, a band, an artist. If it's good and people talk about it, it's going to spread.
And just to the Breaking Bad point, I didn't start watching Breaking Bad until it was in its 4th season. So so it took 4 seasons for me to actually, Beck and I decided to start watching it. By the time we were caught up, we watched the 5th season, like regular episodes, 1 per week, and then had to wait for the next season. So,
I binged 5 seasons of it as well.
But what I'm saying is it took a long time for me to actually
Catch
watch
on.
that.
But people hammered me over the head to get me to watch it, though, is what I'm saying.
Right.
But like
Right.
I said, give Atlanta
new
a little
still.
bit of time. That's all.
But I'm just saying, I'm saying this, like it's not just like the black side of things. It's not because it's black. It's not because black versus whites, whatever. I'm saying because there are uncomfortable topics that are broached in this show, I think that's why it's not going to get the promotion that it deserves. Like it could be a show about women, or a show about it could be a show that there are some issues where there's rape in the show or something like that, right? And I think the same thing would happen with those things. Like if it was a show about the Me Too movement, if there was a show about like I don't know about the gay community and what they're going through. Like I think these are things that would, like, matter of fact, there was a show about the gay community and an uprising and them and that was just completely shut down. Like they kept that off the air, and it's like this is the kind of shit that I think needs to be seen. This is the stuff that we need to get out there. And I think I just hate censorship so much. Like censorship is like the bane of my existence. Like I like the idea of having like something that deserves to be seen be promoted.
I agree.
Right?
Absolutely. I think
Like-
everything deserves that equal chance, no matter what.
And it's not just art. It's a message. There's a message there.
Yeah.
Right. And those messages, like I think those messages are what need to be seen by people. And Breaking Bad was great. There wasn't really a message in Breaking Bad. It was just a really good story.
I think there were messages in it from what I heard from folks.
There's an underlying message of I guess don't judge a book by its cover, but I didn't really get anything out of it. Like I didn't get like this like life-changing moral.
Didn't speak to you.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not saying. I guess because it didn't speak to me doesn't mean that there wasn't a message, but there wasn't anything that really spoke to me.
Gotcha.
So like
Don't
when
sell meth.
yeah, I guess that's a
Remember
good message there.
My name. Remember someone's name.
Or selling meth can be very lucrative.
That's a great lesson.
I will never forget who knocks.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where it's like, I think given time, see how everything kind of unfolds,
Yeah, I mean,
But I agree with you that like probably because it's edgy, it's probably a little bit more uncomfortable or taboo, so to speak, for society, that it might not necessarily get the push. Yeah, there's language in it, and I'm not even just talking about N-bombs. I'm talking about like, there's going to be language and content that, most, people aren't going to either align with or understand or might be a little bit fearful of. But then again, so selling meth for some folks too, so given
Right.
time, I mean, hey, I think just watching episode 1, I think the devil's in it. So there might be a lot of people out there who are into that.
I mean, can we say that the fact? I mean, maybe this is ignorance on my part, but can we say that a show like Atlanta, being on a cable TV show, is pretty big in itself?
oh yeah,
Could we
It
say
is.
that
I
5
concur.
years ago, Atlanta wouldn't even be thought of
right.
as a show that could come out on TV?
Well, I mean, then one could say, and this isn't necessarily my opinion, I'm saying somebody else could, playing the other side of the coin here, is like, look at a television show like The Cosby Show. I mean, that was huge growing up. So, and I watched The Cosbys as a kid. I watched Different Strokes as a kid. I watched Webster as a kid. And so, I mean, I guess, who knows? Those
Yeah.
weren't edgy.
Blackish.
No, but I'm saying they weren't edgy, but like I still was exposed to, someone who might have a different shade of skin tone than myself.
Right.
But I didn't think anything of it personally. But I think it, my opinion, it goes back to how one is raised in their perception, right? On how you're going to interpret or what you're watching and whether you're going to watch it or not. There might be folks out there who say, we're not watching this based on what Cooley's saying, or people who are going to totally embrace it. So, I mean, it all comes down to the individual on anything.
I will say I enjoyed the first episode. I want to see more. I'm
Same.
excited to see what's going to happen moving forward with Atlanta as a show, and what will happen with the community embracing this show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That was well said.
I like that.
Yeah, and the show gets better from that first episode. I mean, like, way better. I mean, that first episode was literally a lot of setup, just so you got to know who the characters were and where they stand in the show. Introducing the silliness of Darius and the seriousness of Alfred, and Ern's kind of in between the two personality.
Was Darius the guy with the cookies?
Yeah.
I love him. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Darius is great.
It's actually the same actor who played like he was in Get Out. He was like the guy who had like that I don't know, the hat
the
on.
hat.
The
That's
hat
where
where
he's
like he
from.
didn't shake his hand in a normal way.
And his
Right.
nose.
Yeah, and it's very different. It's cool. A testament to him as an actor. Like obviously these characters are
Versatile.
vastly different.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's where I knew
Yeah,
him
he
from.
also
Yeah.
played L in the Death Note movie from Netflix.
didn't see
What?
that.
He was L?
Yeah.
Wow, that went way over my head.
Huh.
Yep.
Not the best
Oh,
movie.
no.
That was not done well.
No, it wasn't.
Uh,
I mean,
for
it wasn't
another
his
time.
fault, but yeah, it wasn't done well.
Death Note the movie was not good in comparison to that.
But
manga.
but yeah, it was a giant flop. And speaking of giants, what you saw this documentary
Yeah.
on Andre the Giant?
Great segue.
Yeah, right. No, there was a documentary that I don't want to get too much into it, but it was a documentary on HBO called Andre the Giant, and it basically just explains who he was, his life, and what he accomplished. And I didn't really know too much about Andre the Giant, only that like I saw him in The Princess Bride, and he was like a wrestler, and he was huge and whatever. So I wanted to watch this to find out more about him. And one of the things that just kind of stuck out for me among like a multitude of things was they went into Andre the Giant and how like what he was known for as far as like his drinking habits. And this just blew my mind because somebody that is 6'2", I mean, like I can hold my alcohol, but this guy is unbelievable. He was 7'4". He weighed over 500 pounds, right? So he was a huge monster of a person, but everybody had drinking stories about Andre the Giant, and some of the ones that stuck out to me, and I have a list of them here, is that Andre drank 102 beers in 45 minutes before a flight.
What?
No.
So listen to this.
That
This.
seems impossible, though.
So this is what it says. So it says, I get a call. Hey, boss, I'm at the Tampa airport. I've got a 1 hour layover. I was like, okay, it's 15 minutes or so from my mom's house. So I drive over to the airport and I meet him at the Delta Crown Lounge. By the time we sat down, we had about 45 minutes before he had to walk to his next gate. He drank 108 12-ounce beers. And that was a statement by Hulk Hogan.
Come on.
And then
Wow.
this is the other thing.
That
This is
seems impossible, though, doesn't
That's
it?
what I'm trying to do.
No,
the
it does,
math.
but-
It seems like he'd have to lie on the ground with a giant
Funnel.
in his mouth.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, that's like a kiddie pool of beer.
But this is my point, is I'm watching this
But it's
documentary.
like us taking shots out of a Dixie cup. Like,
But that's the thing. His hands
yeah.
were so
That's
big.
true. I did see the
His
pictures
hands were
of his
so big.
hand
Yeah.
grasping a can.
This is the other thing too. Ready? Like, listen to this.
gosh.
Here's another one. Andre's unofficial record is 156 beers in one sitting. As told by Mike Graham and confirmed by Dusty Rhodes, that's 1,872 ounces or 14.6 gallons of beer. The average human stomach can typically hold about a liter. And then here's another one, right? Andre pounded 2 cases of beer during an hour-long car ride. So one night in Sarasota, Andre is traveling with us. So we pull over and get 2 cases of tall boys. By the time we get from Sarasota to the Tahitian Inn in Dale Marbury, the 2 cases were bone dry. This is the other one.
Sounds
Could
like
this be all
sounds like my
urban legend, though?
bandmates.
Could this
Right.
just be the myth of Andre the Giant?
This is the other one that seems a little bit more. I mean, it seems like it could have been over
Plausible.
a span of time. So the famed wrestler preferred something stiffer, specifically the American, a concoction that consisted of 40 ounces of various liquors poured into a pitcher. Now, Carrie Ewells, I believe, is the guy who's saying this. Ewells said that Andre would drink several of these in a single sitting. I've never tasted airplane fuel, Ewells said, but I imagine it's very close to what that must taste like. It's very potent indeed, and I remember coughing a lot, but to him, it was like chugging water. And then the last one is Andre drank 12 bottles of vodka on a bus ride in Japan.
How do you not die? But
So-
I guess his body mass, right? He would need a lot of beers, a lower alcohol content, to feel anything. So therefore,
Right.
that's why he went for that concoction of the American, so he can actually feel something.
Well,
right?
this is one. The last one I'll read. Andre cleared a plane's entire stock of vodka during a flight to Japan. So, and this was by
nips.
this is going off of what this is Ric Flair. He said I was with him one night at the Downtowner in Charlotte.
Sorry,
in
that's my fault.
1975, he drank 106 beers, and Frank Vallis, I don't know who that, his manager at the time, drank 56. He said, "Hey, I've been on a plane on a 747 with him going to Tokyo out of Chicago on number 4 Northwest. We drank every bottle of vodka on the plane." And then Ric Flair said that. So the reason why I'm bringing these stories up is because it literally blew my mind. And it wasn't just like this was a one-time thing. There were like, just in the documentary, there were like 12 to 14 people giving different testimonials that happened at different times.
Oh, man.
And the amount was ridiculous. But I mean, if you look at this guy,
so big.
his torso is bigger than half my body.
My
so
body
take
is his
that into
torso.
account of how much alcohol you can actually intake.
Yeah.
I mean, we're relating it to what we can deal with. This guy's a freak of nature, you know. So it blows my mind too. And I guess he passed out once in a hotel lobby, and the guys looked at each other and they were like, "Call AAA." Like they couldn't move him. You know, I mean, like he basically laid there until the morning until he kind of came to and he got up. But I mean, it's like you can't move a 500-pound dude. You know, he's staying there. So
It's
crazy,
sad.
dude.
Like we listen to this and we're like, ha ha ha, that's incredible. It's still really hard for me to wrap my mind around this. I still think some of it is a little overblown. I realize that his drinking ability has to be completely monumental, like just off the scope.
But with these figures, he got wrecked. You know, it's not like he was like, "Oh, it's 106 beers. Let me get in my car now."
I will also say he did drink.
He could get in a car.
He did drink to kind of dissipate the pain that he would feel in his body.
Right.
Well, they say he would drink like 4 bottles of wine and then go into the ring, and you wouldn't even know the difference.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then he'd have like 2 cases after that. Cases.
Man.
I mean, think about it. You hold like a mixed drink, like a Jack and Coke. That takes up like my hand. His hand would literally cover 75% of a wine bottle.
But see, I guess
what I'm saying?
I guess in a way, because he was a functioning alcoholic.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could all say
Yeah.
that. So it's like Elvis Presley. I mean, or any addict of any drug is that if you or I one day decide, hey, let's do some crack, I can't do the amount of crack that an everyday person that has been doing crack
Yeah,
for
you build up a
decade.
tolerance to it.
Yeah, exactly. You build up a tolerance. Andre the Giant is this giant behemoth. So any day, his first time ever drinking alcohol is probably going to be off the scope of what I can drink over my years and years of building up a tolerance. For someone that has been drinking to just get in the ring and fight,
Yeah.
has to have created this ability.
A tolerance on top of what he could
to
drink
just
as
pack it all in.
It's unbelievable.
That's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, check out the documentary. It was well worth seeing as a whole, but this is one thing that stood out, and it was super interesting to me. So, and they did a whole segment on like what it was like to work with him on The Princess Bride. And if you're a fan of that movie, it's kind of cool to see as well.
Man, who do you think can drink more, Andre the Giant in alcohol or the Meg in water?
I don't know. Ask the Meg.
Yeah. I don't know. I know currently. One is CGI. The other is deceased. No disrespect. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
We'll never know. Rest in peace.
Andre the Giant.
Andre.
47 when he died.
Yeah.
Aw,
Yep. Probably would have lived longer if he didn't drink so much.
probably.
His organs started shutting down. So I'm sure that was taxing on his liver.
Yeah, I'm sure. A little bit.
Anyway. All right. Cool.
That's it. That's all I got, guys.
Word.
Ready to wrap up?
That's it.
Wrap it up.
I'm done.
Later.
Peace.
Bye.